this computer. All right, we're recording.
Okay, so generally, everybody that's listening, this is looking at the contract and the site prevention plan that everybody needs to pay attention to. And the first document that I'm putting up, if everybody that is out there can mute, that would be great. That way, if the phone rings or anything like that, we don't get crazy. I might have to throw a phone out myself, but the idea is that right now, Worshipful Brother Christian is recording this so that what can happen is we can have this archived so that when organizations, so Patrick, if you have an organization that wants to do this, wants to come to the lodge, this is what they need to pay attention to. And they will be sent this particular document. It's a 5-page document. So what we look at is, if you look at
this is already, sorry to interrupt, but I've already put this with the short-term rental agreement and have it already PDF'd and searchable and indexed and all that kind of stuff.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is that obviously if they get the contract, it'll probably be a few weeks before they come to do an event. And therefore, in terms of the week and the tier that we're in and the date of the event will be already established, but it might just be based on the week and the tier that we're in, that may have changed. So people need to be aware of, just because we send this to somebody or one of our bodies in our organization, that it will be that whatever the tier we are in trumps whatever is written on this contract, and it's specified later on. So what happens is down below here, there is the renting organization. So it could be, SLO Hospice. It could be the one of the Night Riders, or it could be York Rider, Scottish Rider, whatever. And we provide the information, contact, whatever, and everybody has a representative that has to sign their name and their contact information. Then what's going to happen is the logistics, and I'm not going to go into a lot of this because the PowerPoint that I'm going to show you is going to demonstrate this. But basically, the idea is that you can only come to the lodge and attend an event if you, 1, have received an invite, and 2, have responded to that invitation. So what that means is that everybody needs to have it, so that basically what goes on is that you essentially let everybody know, so that we have the numbers that are going to be attending, as well as the list that's going to be checked. That list will be held by the organizer. And when you come to the lodge, what's going to happen is your name should be on the lodge. Now, we know some people are going to be kind of impromptu. We understand that, and that will happen periodically. But if you know there is going to be an event, if you contact the event coordinator or the master in the case of our lodge that you're coming, you will be on the list. Okay. Now, in terms of the maximum numbers, what we're looking at essentially is it depends on the tier and it depends on the room. So for example, if we're looking at the red tier like we were in originally when the Grand Master sent the notice out, we were at the red tier, which was 25%, but now we're at 50%. So what happened was that the number at 25% for the main lodge room was 93. But now our main lodge room is at 50%, which is actually double that number. It's about 180. At the same time, though, our dining room has got a very, very different number. Some of it, even if we were to put it at 50%, the issue is that we got to be aware of the social distancing issue. So that's going to limit the number of people that come to a dining event. And in some ways, what we have to say is, if the lodge is going to use the dining room as well as the lodge room, then whatever the dining room limitation is, which is at about 40, that would be the maximum number of people that should be there. If there's going to be a sit-down situation, it's different if it's a buffet or something like that. But right now, that's enough said about that. Okay. So some people want to create a seating plan, some not. I'm going to show you that we've actually set up the way in which the seats are in the dining room, and what the seats will look like in the lodge room. Okay, we need to know. It's very useful. And actually, Worshipful Robert had said this originally, is how long do you think the meeting's going to last? So it's better. I mean, if a meeting is an hour, that's better. It becomes less and less safe if you go to 90 minutes, 2 hours, 3 hours. That's a lot of time inside. So it's good, though, to know what it's going to be. The chairs in the lodge room and everything in the dining room are already set up, like I've said. And on the day of the meeting, one of our representatives needs to confirm that the protocols described for cleaning have been enforced. And I'll show you what that means very shortly. Someone from a representative needs to go to the site and make sure that everything looks proper. And then what happens is that you make sure that everything is in accordance with those particular protocols. Now, I'm going to skip through all this. The meeting protocols, I'll share more with you about it in a little bit. You'll see that physical distancing, all that kind of stuff. That's all to be said. But the thing that needs to be you being aware of in this contract is notification of a COVID-19 positive case at the site, which means if someone in that meeting where you are ends up contracting COVID, we need to, and one of the reasons why we need a list and contact information is if someone says that they have or they think they've contracted COVID while they were at the lodge at the event, we need to be able to contact everybody in terms of the basic idea of contact tracing, and then encourage everybody to stay quarantined for 14 days. Now, this 5-page document, people need to go through it. People need to read it exactly. And like I said, I'll show you the PowerPoint. It'll become more obvious to all of you that are watching. But what has to happen is we need this document signed, the organization, the date of it, and sent back before the event can happen. We need to make sure that people are in compliance and they go, yeah, we agree with this and we're going to be there and thank you very much, okay? So that's pretty much all I need to do in terms of showing you this particular document. Now what I want to do is I want to bring in the PowerPoint. All right. So this is the King David's opening. All right. So the first thing that has to happen is that if whether it's us or whether it's another organization, we need to contact the cleaning crew from King David's. They're under the auspices of the Masonic Hall Association. Patrick is going to make sure that they get that number. We need to contact so that, for example, tonight, for example, or maybe tomorrow morning, there will be someone going through the entire lodge and going through this cleaning list. This goes through every single room in the building. Now, if the kitchen's not going to be used extensively, maybe nothing's going to be in there, or no one's going to be in the dining room, that's one thing. But in the sitting rooms, in the elevator, in the temple meeting room, in the bathrooms, all these things need to be checked. And there will be a table next to the elevator where either Michael or Nicolette will have signed this and dated it so that you know that the room has been taken care of for your event. Then for you, you will get an announcement about your event. And before you even respond, you need to look at this list. You have fevers or chills, cough, shortness of breath, fatigue, muscle aches, headaches, sore throat, congestion, nausea, vomiting, those kind of things. You need to think, if these things are going on with me, I don't think I should come. Don't even bother contacting. This is going to be the thing that you're going to be sent. Everybody for the event will be sent this list. Okay, you see at the bottom, it's signed by Dean. And the idea is you go through this and make sure that you're in compliance with this. Now, you fill this out or you see this, and then when you arrive at the lodge, you need to be aware of the only entrance we're going to be going through is going to be the elevator right now, just to keep it really, really simple. All right. So what you need before you leave home is make sure you have a mask. If you don't, we're going to have disposable masks, but there will be masks. There'll be a table downstairs outside of the elevator. Then whoever is standing there, and Dean is going to assign whoever the guard is at the elevator, you have your COVID-19 immunization card, or you have a test that shows in the last 3 days you have a negative result, okay? Try and come with a kind of smile on your face, okay? Because in some ways, some of this is overkill and some of it is completely appropriate. We just need to really comply as best we can. Be sure you are on the invite list. Please do that if you can. If you think, oh, I think I want to go to the meeting, I didn't think about it before, but I've got all these other things, and I got the things that'll allow me to come in, then show them those things, smile, put on your mask, and then you will, like I said, these are the things that are going to happen once you do that. Once you're greeted, you're checked off the list, you hand over the certification of the result. Your temperature is also going to be taken. Brian Ader has gotten us one of those little things that you see in a lot of buildings now, where you take your temperature to see how you are. There's a thing of sanitizer, hand sanitizer right there, so you can actually take care of your hands before you get on the elevator. Okay, hold on. All right, this is what the list is going to look like that the guard down at the door is going to have. So you see what's there: first name, last, phone number, email, when you're vaccinated, those things. Just they're going to check, whether you were vaccinated or whether you had a negative test, and whether you have access or not. Okay. If access was denied, and we have to be we have to be strict about this. If for some reason you don't bring this stuff, you don't come in. That's pretty much it. Really would like everybody to be very much on the level and respectful of this situation, which is why you approach the door with a level of kindness when you come to it. Then, in terms of entering the lodge, it's going to be like Noah's Ark, 2 by 2. The idea is that there's only 2 people allowed in the elevator, because that will account for 6 feet inside that elevator. And there's a sign in there that says only 2 people allowed on every single trip. So that's what's going to happen as you go up and down the elevator. You'll see the sign at the back of the elevator, which tells you what it's about. And the answer is, thank you for honoring social distancing. Again, a mask. I like this Masonic one. That's great. You can probably find that online. And the idea is, I know Patrick's got a question, but I'm going to ignore it. What it is that you want to make sure your mask is covering your nose and your mouth. Okay, not the kind of thing where people are wearing them with their nose exposed. That's not the thing we want. We want it in compliance with the Grand Lodge and what our Grand Master wants. We do the mask as the mask is supposed to be done. So examples of all sorts of possibilities. It's really cool that that one particular one. I like that one. I like to know where they got that. Greetings is much better if you do, rather than do a lot of hugging and embracing. The new greeting, high, fist bump, high five, or whatever, but make it so that it is not so much contact. Okay. And the idea also is that when you're inside the lodge, you don't want people to cluster together. All right. People are supposed to be masked and et cetera, and hopefully everybody is well vaxxed or is got a negative test. But regardless, try and keep your distance, try and do the minimal amount of contact with each other. Now, social distancing, you will see in the lodge room, these are already there, that what we've got is there will be a chair and then 2 that have got a little blue sign that basically says, this chair is not to be used to honor social distancing. So that's going to be there. Okay. I decided to do that rather than take them off because I didn't want it to look like a crime scene. So we're making it so that we just have it so that you just don't sit in those seats that have got that blue sign. Now, Brian Ader said, and this is what is going to be happening as well. It's not there right now, but underneath each seat is going to be a single pack of a Clorox, wipe. Okay, and the idea is you don't have to use it right away because the cleaner will have cleaned everything. But at the end of the meeting, the idea is tear open your wipe down the arms of your chair to make it so that there's one less job for the cleaners to do the next day. And you can see we even have it, for example, the master can't have it so that the chaplain is sitting to his left. That's about 2 feet. So what we've done is we've put chairs the level below, and also realizing, for example, in York Rite, you've got the scribe as well and the king. So in that situation, those chairs cannot be used. So there are the chairs that are marked that are closer, that are further out to make sure there's proper social distance from whoever is the presiding master in the east. So you'll see both sides of the lodge have been covered like that. Now, in terms of the bathrooms, it's 2 people again. Okay, you will see signs in the bathroom that say bathroom guidelines, only 2 occupants at a time. Thank you for honoring social distancing. Okay, for some of us, we're lucky there is a bathroom upstairs. So if it gets really desperate, if someone wants to run upstairs, we do have that option for that 3rd bathroom upstairs, which would only be 1 person because it's a relatively small bathroom. And like I said, there will be disinfecting wipes that are going to be used throughout the entire space that our cleaners are using. And there'll be the individual packets that will be there on the arms of your seats before you leave. In terms of social distancing in the dining room, okay? Looking at it, I've set up the chairs so that there are going to be 4 people at a table, okay? If we do 4 people on the table, we kind of get away with it, okay, relatively speaking, all right? And those tables are set at 6 feet apart. So what's going to happen, although people next to each other might be a little bit closer, it's a pretty decent amount of distance for it, okay? Now, if we only have 5 or 6 people and you can only have a couple of people at a table, even better. But at the rate of 4 people a table, we can get 10 tables in there that are 6 feet apart. So that's why I'm saying the maximum in the dining room is 40 right now. That's just how it is. And that might even be for as long as we're looking at this into whatever part of the year this takes us. It's going to be there if we're really looking at social distancing being a real important part of preventing the spread, then 40 is pretty much the limit in this room. Now, for certain events, let's say you're going to have, and this is what I've considered, if you do, let's say, buffet style, not like, trays of stuff where people dip in and move on. That's not going to happen for a while. The idea is going to be that maybe, and we're doing this with Scottish Rite tomorrow night. What's going on is that actually on Wednesday night, what's going to happen is he's going to be providing like already wrapped sandwiches, and people are just going to walk up, get their sandwich. We might even get fancy and get individual servings of fish and chips in their own containers, so you can just pick up your own food and go to where you sit, so that we're not dealing with plates, we're not dealing with forks, we're not dealing with a lot of traffic inside of our kitchen right now. And that could also be with respect to events where you want to do a little bit of food hosting, let's say an event that's in the lodge room. It could be that in terms of, there are individually wrapped cheeses, there are packets of nuts, there are packets of crackers, there are drinks that are in their own cans. So rather than incur a whole lot of stuff that's piled on and people are reaching in, we're just going to encourage people to get their own individual snack things to make it so that nobody has to touch what everybody else is going to be touching. If you look at the floor, the way in which we have it is that there is one piece of tape that is at the counter if we're using the counter, and then the blue stripes are 6 feet apart. And the idea is we can get about 8 people in a line waiting to go to the hatch if we're going to use the hatch, or if there's a table in front where things are going to be stacked. So the idea is to make it so that there is this kind of social distancing that's done. The other thing that might happen, and eventually we might be able to do it, is if no one else touches the food and whoever's in the kitchen, whether it is the junior warden or the junior senior steward or whoever's designated, they would have a mask, they would have gloves, they would be the only ones handing you your food. That's what would happen if we go back to the idea of being able to offer things from the hatch that aren't prepackaged. So eventually, like I said, we want to be able to do more, but in the meantime, it might look like a gorgeous little thing of fish and chips that you can just get the way you want it. And for Richard, if you just want the chips, you can give somebody else your fish. Okay. All right. So that's basically what's going on. The greater your compliance, the faster all of this will be over. And the idea is at the end of the meeting, what you do is you wipe off the arms of your chair. We'll have a basket so you can get everything out of there. In terms of the people that are setting up the lodge room, okay, whoever is going to be putting up the rods and all the various parts, where there are going to be gloves underneath the master's podium. And the idea is put gloves on and set everything out, okay? There will be wipes nearby also to wipe things down. The issue that I look at the same time is more than likely, this is not going to be happening more than once a week. And so whatever is put away 24 hours later, it's not going to matter anyway. But it's a good idea that if we have some of those Clorox wipes, just to wipe down the rods, wipe down the squares and compasses and everything like that. That way what happens is they're put away, they're clean, they're ready to go. What we will do also is with everything that is used, I don't think we've necessarily always been that particularly clean about, you know, a candidate takes off his trousers and his slippers, we just stick them back in the closet. That ain't gonna happen. Everybody that comes in, what's gonna be going on is those things will be gone out for either dry cleaning or sterilization or whatever. There has been discussion about the idea with respect to degrees of people wearing gloves throughout the degrees, white gloves rather than latex or whatever, to make it look a little bit nicer. And then the idea is to take all those gloves and get them dry cleaned as well. So I think that's pretty much, let me just see. I think this is the last thing that's there. So I think I've covered pretty much everything that happens from coming in and leaving, again, 2 by 2 in the bathrooms, in the elevators. Show up if you're feeling okay, come properly identified, bring a mask if you don't have one, we'll provide you one. And let's try and make this as painless as we can. Now, a lot of you probably have seen the document. I know some of you may have really scoured through it. So I'm happy to answer questions in case I have missed anything right now.
When are we starting? Are we starting tomorrow?
The idea is that tomorrow night is going to be a practice for the officers. A lot of officers haven't had a chance to really practice for the entire year.
A week from tomorrow night.
Say, Your Worship, will go ahead.
It's a week from tomorrow night, the 18th.
Oh, so that's when the officers' practice is going to be. Is that what you're saying, Worshipful?
Yeah, it's on the 18th.
Okay, I stand corrected. That's great. All right. So there's no meeting. We'll have it. Are we going to have a socially distancing virtual meeting tomorrow night?
I assume we'll do our check-in meeting.
Okay. And hopefully what will happen is by then what can go on too is, as we are recording this, that this will be available so that anybody that comes on that social recording that isn't here tonight will know what link they can go to find it. Okay. What else?
Well, Bob, this is Christian. There was a question earlier from Brother Mike Hammonds regarding picture of the immunization card. And as I understand it, this is also acceptable based on Grandmaster Wise decision, as well as Worshipful Inspector Rod Smiley confirming it last week. You can bring a picture on your phone of the card.
That is correct. Anything that shows that you've got a card, whether it's the actual card or a reasonable facsimile thereof.
Because unfortunately, they designed the cards not to fit in a normal person's wallet.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. And just to let you know, I mean, for people that are worried about the condition of their card, I think right now, I think Staples is still laminating them if you want them to be laminated. Again, they'll be bigger, but they'll be more protected.
Don't get it laminated. Don't get it laminated.
Don't
It
get
invalidates the card.
It
I
invalidates
already-
the card?
Oh, wow. Unfortunately, I did it already.
Mine's
If-
already laminated as well, but it's fine.
Staples was
There-
proudly advertising it to everybody.
They will copy your
You
card.
can make a copy
and
and
then
laminate it.
Yes, that's correct.
You can
Don't
make,
laminate the original.
oh,
I
wow.
ordered plastic.
Unfortunately, I laminated the original.
So you
I
didn't-
ordered plastic sleeves online at Amazon. They're the kind of plastic sleeves that you hang around your neck and you put an ID in it. And
Yeah,
the card just slips down inside it, gives you the same protection without laminating.
gotcha. Thank you, Don.
Robert, also on the news a day or two
Now,
ago,
are they,
Go ahead, Don. Let's just finish with Don. Go
on the
ahead.
news a day or two ago, they were reporting that the county was seeing numbers and a trend that leads them to believe that we may be heading towards the yellow tier, maybe just in a couple of days or a few days. Will going into the yellow tier in this county affect our plan at all, or will we just stick with what we have?
Well, I mean, again, the idea was for every time the county changes, there is a change. For example, I mean, that's good with respect to the main lodge room, because in terms of the main lodge room, if we can go to 75% or something like that, in terms of some of our events, we can actually have a pretty good turnout. The thing about the dining room, sit down dining is going to have to be capped at 40 no matter what. But if we had it so that there were tables on the side and people were walking in, grabbing an already packaged snack and moving out and about and didn't have to sit at tables, then having the tier allow for more people and not having the dining room filled with tables will make it possible for us to entertain more people.
So Worshipful Bob, Representative
will
here.
we be emailed as far as signing up for the meetings?
Yeah. Yes, you will be getting an invitation from the secretary for every meeting that it is, whether it is a special meeting, i.e. degree, or a stated meeting, you should be receiving an invitation to that particular meeting.
Worshipful
Good.
Bob,
Thank
Robert
you.
Betancourt here. I have a
Yes.
question.
Yeah.
At what point are we done with this training?
At what point are we done with this training? The
Yes, so
idea
that I
is-
can disengage and say I checked the box.
Well, I would say at this point, we're just doing Q&A. So as far as I'm concerned, sir, you're done if you want to.
Thank you.
Bye.
Principal Bob, I'm just going to share a screen real quick here for the people who will be watching the recording, that if they want to get credit for this training, to send an email to the lodge secretary, and it is shown there on the screen. I'm going to stop sharing and we can continue with Q&A.
Yeah, thank you. So go ahead. Anybody else? What else do we got?
I'd just like to apologize for being late. I get-
Do
I
we
don't know.
automatically, Now, do we have automatic credit since we attended?
I
we
think
have to
what's
still
happening
mail
is
it in?
Christian wanted to do you want to put everybody in gallery, Christian, and just take a picture of this?
I already have the attendee list, and Zoom also gives me a report. So
Okay,
no
yeah,
picture
yeah.
of the screen.
Yeah, the box has been checked for you, Richard.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else? Okay, I hope this was fairly-
I thought Worshipful Master Dean was in the process of saying something earlier. Worshipful?
Yeah, I don't know, for some reason, there's some issues with our Spectrum internet today, so I have severe Zoom lag because I'm running a hotspot on my cell phone, and I couldn't get in earlier, but I hope I didn't miss too much. But I have read through the SPP.
Well, you had to sign it, sir. So if anybody has been able to look at, I mean, I got several typos that I've caught now that I feel remiss about, but I
Dean,
seem to be.
Dean, we had outages on Spectrum at our office and SLO today as well. It was a couple of times it just went dead, completely dead.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
why this one, our meeting tonight started late as well, because Worshipful Andrew was having connection issues. He was the host, so he
Right,
had me log in his behalf.
right.
But we have recorded this. We will share this with everybody. And Worshipful Bob, I'll give the last remarks to you before logging off again.
I just want to thank those of you who attended, and I guess I'm, I'm appreciative of this. I mean, I thank Christian. Robert was very helpful. Dean was very helpful. Worshipful Dean was helpful. It takes a lot to put this together and make it so that it is not overly complicated. And I hope that, and my wife Melanie made the PowerPoint, so I want to put a shout out to her for making it so that it was at least pretty and fun to look at. So
It's very good. Thank you, Worshipful Bob,
hey, thank
for
you.
doing all this.
Okay, so again, if you need the document, if you need any of these documents, I've got all of them, and I'm happy to send you anything. And if there's any questions that come up, do let me know.